Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It is Radio 2, just in case you were wondering. And today we're getting deep into lesson 6 of 84. We've done quite a lot of work when it comes to radio research, qualitative, quantitative analysis, research. We've done validity and what it means and what it stands for. And we now find ourselves in a point where we're speaking about music research, a very interesting topic that I think that you're really going to enjoy. It requires a lot of reading, but it's not that much reading, to be very honest with you. And we're only going to be using one textbook from the 2 prescribed textbooks that we have for the year. I'm quickly going to go into our slides so that you can see the exact pages you're supposed to turn to in the textbook, and we're going to be going through it together. I do recommend that you underline in your textbooks. I recommend that you buy Post-its, right? Buy Post-its and you stick them into your textbook so that when it's time to do your assessments, you're not wandering on an empty textbook, but you've made the notes and you've got the Post-its. Just in case you're wondering what I mean by notes and Post-its, firstly, we're reading out of Next Level Radio, this textbook over here. And what I mean by Post-its are these little tags over here that you can purchase at your supermarket. And feel free to scribble in your textbooks so that you know exactly what you're doing. It just helps a lot with you as well when it comes to understanding and quick referencing. All right, so we're going to be reading from pages 444 to 449. Let's kick it off on page 444, music research. What is it all about? Now, in the music radio space, music makes up approximately 80% of what comes out of the speaker. That makes a lot of sense. Radio stations try to keep by this, even with news and sports and content and adverts. They really do try that whatever comes out of your speaker, they've reached the 80% mark. It is the core of a radio station's content, and much of a radio station's success comes from the finding the right mix of music for the right audience. To find the right mix, most commercial radio stations conduct music testing. They test songs to see if they resonate with their fans and then add the best performing songs to their station playlist. Most music testing starts with a market study of at least 250 respondents. The market study will get a large group of listeners from a radio station's target market to fill out a survey about their likes, wants, needs, and desires. In this market study, there are usually categories of songs grouped in genres, years of music or styles, such as 2000s pop, soft rock, 80s classics, etc. Listeners are asked to rate these genres and years in terms of their particular music taste. This information is collated to reflect between 4 and 5 main genres and years of music that are most popular amongst the target market. Depending on group sizes, any genre that is preferred by over 70 to 80% of the respondents is labeled as a genre of music and target market loves to listen to, which makes a lot of sense. If 70% of the people that listen to your radio station, 70 to 80%, definitely, if that's what they prefer, then definitely that's what your target market would prefer. Songs are then sourced from these genres and years or styles, and an auditorium music test, AMT, is done on these songs. We will discuss this in detail in the following section. For now, let's take a look at our slides and what they say about music research as a concept. Music radio, approximately 80% music. It makes sense what comes out of the speakers. To find the right mix, most commercial radio stations conduct music testing. Music tests start with a market study of at least 250 respondents. Listeners are asked to rate genres and years in terms of their music taste. Information is then collated to reflect 4 and 5 main genres and years of music that are most popular amongst the target market. Songs are sourced from these genres and years or styles, and an auditorium music test, AMT, is done on these songs. Let's get into what an AMT is in our textbooks. Page 444. Auditorium music tests are traditionally done in a large acoustically sensitive venue where large groups of listeners are brought in to listen to hooks or choruses of a variety of songs. These listeners are then asked to rate these songs. The rating categories and questions asked differ between research companies, but listeners are generally asked the following questions. Do you like the song? If yes, how do you feel about the song? What's the concept that we learned there? Leading questions, right? Each participant in the study is given a pen and a paper with numbered lines on which they are asked to rate each song using the set criteria. This type of music research is quite expensive. It is akin to putting together a large focus group and having the technology to play music in a favorable setting and capture the results across a wide range of respondents who can easily be influenced by others with whom they're attending the AMT. It is very easy to influence somebody that is sitting next to you, especially if you're bold and talkative. It can get a little bit messy. Modern AMTs are done electronically, either in person or online. A valid AMT usually has between 700 and 1,500 songs. What did we learn about the concept of validity? Must be accurate and relevant. Once all participants have responded, the songs are captured in percentages and sorted in the following order: positive, negative, love, like, neutral, not like, tired of, and familiar. In the following table, the percentages that represent the number of participants who said they like different songs are shown according to the correlating score that is assigned to those reactions. So we take all of that we've read above, right, and we give them a score. So if it's a like, it's a positive score. A dislike is a negative score. Love something, it's a love score. A like score. Or maybe you are apathetic to the song, it's a neutral score. Maybe you don't like it, it's a not like score. Maybe you just absolutely hate it, then it's a tired of score. And if you know the song, it's a familiar score. Songs are then placed in the order of highest to the lowest scores. This is called the sort. Note that, of the music test. The sort helps determine what songs are added to the radio station's playlist and in what rotation these songs will be played. A sort is also done according to the respondent demographics, and these are compared in order to determine the right mix for the entire target market. A basic and common sort usually consists of the following steps. All songs with a familiar score of under 65% are deleted. The two strongest indicators are the love score and the tired score. Songs on either spectrum of these are either kept or deleted from the list. The love scores of each of the target demographics are compared to find the top testing track. All other categories are used when cross-referencing demographics to help sort out by popularity. Once the sort is complete, between 300 and 400 tracks should remain. These will make up the bulk of the playlist. This is what music radio stations refer to as rotation, which you will have to read about in the earlier chapters of this book. It is important to note that many AMTs are now going fully electronic and remote. Participants can log onto programs remotely via the internet and have a set time limit in which to rate the hooks or their own time in the comfort of their own home. Incentives like chances to win some cash are given to participants in order to complete the AMTs for radio stations. One of them that jumps to mind is 947. They've got what they call the inner circle. You get to tell them the songs that you like, the songs that you don't like, or what you think the station should change. And they incentivize you with a voucher, maybe with some cash, depending on what's happening during that time. Let's go through what the slides say about what auditorium research is. It is done in large acoustically sensitive venues. Large groups are brought in to listen to hooks or choruses for a variety of songs. These listeners are then asked to rate the songs. Rating categories and questions asked differ between research companies, but generally they are asked, do you know the song? If yes, how do you feel about the song? Do you like it, dislike it, love it, like it a little, maybe empathetic, do not like it, or you absolutely hate it? Each participant is given a pen and paper with numbered lines on which they are asked to rate each song using the set criteria. Songs are played out on a speaker system and all participants must rate each song. This type of music research is an expensive study. Modern AMTs, though, are done electronically, either in person or online. A market study is typically used to source loved genres, years, or styles of music. Individual songs from each category are chosen and hooks are then sourced. A valid AMT usually has between 700 and 1,500 songs. Participants come in individually or in groups and are given a computer or a tablet. All the songs are then loaded on these devices. Each participant in their own time gets to play the hooks of every song and electronically record their responses. Once all the participants have responded, the songs are then captured in percentages and sorted in the following order: positive, negative, love, like, neutral, not like, tired of, familiar. I want us to get used to these concepts. A basic and common sort usually consists of all the songs with a familiarity score of 65% are deleted. The two strongest indicators are love score and the tired of score. Songs on either spectrum are then kept or then deleted from the list. The love scores of each of the target demographics are compared to find the top testing tracks. All other categories are used when cross-referencing demographics to help sort out by popularity. It is important to note that many AMTs are now going fully electronic and remote. Participants can log onto programs remotely via the internet and have a set time limit to listen to the hooks on their own time and in their home. This has greatly reduced the cost of AMTs, which means that they can be done more often with larger samples. Incentives like chances to win cash are given to participants to complete AMTs for their radio stations. What are callouts? Let's get into them in our textbooks, page 446. Call-out music testing is commonly used by music radio stations and is based on the same premise as an AMT, but used to test current hits on a much smaller scale. These are usually done every week and can show listeners' preferences often enough to help shape the current playlist and rotation of the radio station. Participants are called over the phone, hence the name's call out. And the test is done via the telephone or on secure websites. Exactly like an AMT, hooks or choruses of songs are played and the participant in the study rates the music either verbally, using the keypad on their phones, or by way of survey questions electronically. Typically, a radio station will test between 10 to 15 songs in one call-out. If done electronically, participants are given approximately 1 week to complete the test. If performed over the phone, participants are asked to complete the test on that one call. A valid, again, test would have been between 50 and 300 participants. The sort in a call-out is slightly different to an AMT in that it is predominantly looking at tired of scores and love scores to help craft the playlist and keep it current. These scores are then tracked against the previous call-out results to evaluate if the song is becoming more popular. If this is the case, then it should be played more. If the score shows the song is losing popularity, then it should be played less. In call-out research, stations are also looking for songs that are burning and are becoming unpopular at speed, or songs that are stiff and never take off with the audience. Call-out testing is relatively inexpensive and a significant asset to music radio stations that play current music. This type of research is also highly valuable in a fast-paced music environment where popular artists regularly release songs and release albums online directly to the public, which can result in overnight hits. A very important and very significant platform that this happens is TikTok. A lot of artists are releasing their music on TikTok, and sometimes, radio stations are just a little bit late in terms of, jumping onto the trend. But they take it onto social media, they become sensations, and radio then has no choice but to playlist the song. Optimally, a radio station should do 2 market studies per year, 2 AMTs a year, and weekly call-out research. That's the theory of what we are doing today. Going back to our notes, in summary, auditorium research is done in large acoustically sensitive venues, usually done once or twice a year. Large groups are brought to listen to hooks or choruses a variety of music. A valid AMT usually has between 700 and 1,500 songs. For call-outs, call-out music testing is commonly used by music radio stations. They're usually done weekly. Participants are called over the phone, hence call-outs, and the test is done via telephone or secure website. A radio station will test between 10 to 15 songs in one call-out. Using AMTs and call-out testing, radio stations can populate their playlist with the best possible selection of music and are guided to shape the music offering. Optimally, radio stations should do 2 market studies per year, 2 AMTs per year, and a weekly call-out research. In your opinion, is music research similar to RAM and PPM research? I need you to think about it. And I'm going to need you to let me know what the answer is in our next session. At your homework, which we're going to be doing together in terms of analyzing the data, which you can complete by yourselves, is activity 11D, right? Question 1, we will analyze all the data and then we'll go through it together. Your answers are at the back of your textbooks, but I encourage you to take the leap of faith and attempt these questions and see how far you are in terms of the answer. But I do think you know exactly what we're dealing with today. Right, visit the DRC's website and read through the frequently asked questions using the following link. This will help you to interpret the information provided in the question. Explain what each key measure means for the radio station. So if you turn to page 447, and you look at this table that's been given to you, and you analyze the numbers accordingly, you will look at the average daily audience, Monday to Friday, as well as Monday to Sunday, and 1 week home. It is also put in a manner where we analyze it from October to March, January to June, April to September, July to December. Looking at this content, we are seeing that there's an increase in numbers in the last radio diary. We're going from 302 to 353. What we're also able to see is that it's not just relevant for average daily audience Monday to Friday, but also relevant to average daily audience Monday to Sunday. We went from 288,000 to 343. We are also seeing a vast improvement in the 1 week cum from 469 to 565,000. So what we can see from this analysis is that there's an upwards growth when it comes to this data that's being given to us. When you turn over to page 448 and you assess the table that's been given to us, we are seeing that the percentage is skewed towards men, as 60% of them, as compared to female, which is 40%. We're also able to see that the vast majority of the listeners range between age 35 to 49. We're also able to see that there's a nice balance between, the racial gap when it comes to, the Black and the white community. Exclusive listenership is sitting at 16%, which is low. However, we did mention that exclusive listenership is quite a rare case, but it is quite low in this instance. When you look at the next table on page 148, we see that the majority of the listeners are English, and a lot of them live in metropolitan areas. We also know that they listen at home, and the next best place would be in the car. At home would make a lot of sense. In the vehicle would also make a lot of sense, because when we're waking up in the morning, we're at home getting ready for school, for work, trying to listen to what is happening in South Africa and around the world, what's happening with traffic, with the weather, so that we are well prepared for the day. So if you're listening from home, you then listen in your car as you're heading to work. The devices that are used would then be your actual radio stereo, or it could be the radio that's sitting in your car, which comes in second, according to this graph. When we look at the third graph on page 148, we're able to tell that the footprint definitely lies in Gauteng with 99%. We're also able to see that when it comes to the socio-economic measurement, majority of them lie between SME 5 and SEM rather 5 and SEM 10, with the majority of them sitting at SME 10 with 41%. We then take all that information collated. Then we're going to turn to page 449. I loved having this conversation in class with the students where we assess the practicalities and the realities of the data that's being presented. You can tell that the graph peaks between 6 and 9 o'clock. And there's yet another, shift when it comes to, 3 and 7 o'clock. It makes sense for it to peak at 6 o'clock in the morning because that's when people are waking up, getting ready for work, taking kids to school, need to know what's going on in the news, what happened while we were sleeping, what can I look forward to, what does the weather look like, what are the roads looking like. So it makes quite a lot of sense for it to peak so early, considering that people just need to get their day started. With all these data points, with all this data that is also presented to you, you're able to make analysis and make the right decisions as different stakeholders in the radio space. In summary, this chapter introduced the methodologies and types of research conducted within the radio industry. It offered details around qualitative and quantitative methods of research, a detailed account of radio audience measurement, specifically as the industry benchmark study in South Africa, and examined music research as a core component of music format radio stations. Figures and tables provided practical examples of how research in the radio industry is developed and utilized by radio stations and other players in the radio industry. So I do hope that these lessons have been quite helpful, that putting practical examples of existing radio stations and understanding these terms and understanding this data, I hope that it's become quite useful for you. And I hope that if you do have any questions, feel free to reach out on our Radio 2 WhatsApp group. And also feel free to email me, nonhlanhla@boston.co.za. I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm also happy to answer questions while we're busy with getting ready with the next lesson that's about to take place when we have our face-to-face sessions. So do make sure that you ask all the relevant questions. Assessments are coming through as well. We are going through them in class. So do make sure that you attend your lectures. And that's how we wrap up lesson 6 of 84. It's been a pleasure. Until next time.